Welcome to Smart with Screens. I'm Schnelle. For 14 years, I built digital marketing campaigns for Disney, Netflix, Amazon, and other major brands. My job was to get you to click, scroll, and engage. And now I teach families and schools across New York City how these systems actually work, the algorithms, the tricks, the psychology behind the screens. I'm Schnelle Acevedo, and let's get smart with screens. So we tell kids, stop spending so much time on your phone. Put the device down. You're always consuming content, and we're not wrong. Kids are consuming hours and hours of TikToks, YouTube videos, Instagram posts. They know every creator, every trend, every platform. But here's what we're missing. What if we taught them to create instead of just consume? Not as a hobby, not as an afterthought, but as a core skill like reading, writing, and math. Because here's what I've seen happen when students learn actual content creation skills. The kid who couldn't sit still suddenly spends 45 minutes designing graphics for the school newsletter. The student who hated writing volunteers to write blog posts. The shy kid who never participated finds their voice through video storytelling. Creation changes everything. It changes how students see themselves, it changes how they engage with technology, it changes what they think they're capable of. Today, I'm talking about why every student from third grade through high school needs to learn digital content creation. Not just media consumption, not just digital citizenship, actual creation. Let's get into it. Let's be honest about what's happening right now. Students are spending massive amounts of time on screens. We all know this. But what are they doing on those screens? They're consuming. They're watching TikTok somebody else made. They're reading posts somebody else wrote. They're looking at graphics that somebody else designed. They're following creators that someone else chose to amplify. They're passive recipients of an endless stream of content created by other people, curated by algorithms designed to keep them watching. And we respond by trying to limit that consumption. Only 1 hour of screen time, no phones during the week. You need to read a book instead. That one is personal to me. Which, listen, I get it. I'm a parent and I have said all of these things. But what if the problem isn't the screens themselves? What if the problem is that we're teaching students to be consumers in a world that desperately needs creators? Think about it. Every job in 2030, whether it's marketing, education, healthcare, engineering, nonprofit work, will require some level of content creation. They'll be writing compelling emails and reports, designing presentations and graphics, creating videos and tutorials, building websites and digital portfolios, communicating ideas clearly across platforms. These aren't influencer skills, these are professional skills. And right now, most students are graduating without ever learning them. They can consume content at an expert level. They know what makes a good TikTok, what gets engagement, what's trending. But can they create a graphic from scratch, write a compelling blog post, design a newsletter, tell a story through images and text? Most of them can't because we've never taught them. We're preparing students for a creator economy by keeping them as passive consumers, and that has to change. Let me tell you what I've seen happen when students actually learn content creation skills. First, they stop being passive consumers. When you teach a student how to design a graphic in Canva, they are looking at graphics differently. They notice that font choice was intentional. That color scheme creates a mood. That layout guides my eye in a specific direction. They're not just scrolling anymore, they're analyzing, they're thinking critically. Same with writing. When a student learns to write a blog post with a hook, structure, a call to action, they're starting to notice how other content is constructed. This article grabbed my attention because of the opening line. Or this post kept me reading because of how they told the story. Creation builds critical consumption, and suddenly the doom scrolling decreases. Not because you took their phone away, but because they're engaging with content differently. And second, they discover skills they didn't even know they had. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen a student say, I'm not creative, or I'm not good at writing, and then absolutely shock themselves when they create something that they're proud of. The kid who struggles with traditional essays writes a blog post that goes viral in the school community. The student who says, I can't draw, designs a poster that everybody wants to hang up. The quiet kid who never raises their hand creates a video that makes everyone laugh. because content creation offers different entry points than traditional academics. Some kids are visual learners who thrive with graphic design. Some are storytellers who shine with blogs and newsletters. Some are technical thinkers who love figuring out how platforms work. When you give students multiple ways to express themselves, you discover talent that you didn't even know was there. Third, they build confidence and voice. There is something powerful about creating something that other people see and engage with. When a student designs the school newsletter and watches their classmates actually read it, that's ownership. When a student writes a blog post and gets comments from the community, that's validation. When a student creates graphics for a school event and sees them on posters all over the building, that's pride. They'll go from I'm just a student to I'm a creator. And that identity shift matters. Students start believing that they have something that's worth saying. They start seeing themselves as people who can make things, contribute value, and shape how information is shared. That confidence transfers to everything else. Fourth, they develop real world skills that matter beyond school. So let's talk practically. A student that can write a compelling blog post can write an essay, a cover letter, a professional email. A student that can design graphics in Canva can create presentations, marketing materials, social media content. A student who understands how to structure information for an audience can communicate effectively in any professional context. These aren't extras, these aren't enrichment. These are foundational skills for the world that students are entering. And when schools prioritize teaching them, students graduate ready, not just for college, but for careers in a digital economy. So, what does that actually look like to teach content creation to students? Let me break down what this can look like across different grade levels. So, for elementary school students, grades 3 to 5, you're building the foundational skills, you're teaching them that they can create, not just consume. They can start a class newsletter where they write short articles about classroom events, design simple layouts, choose images. They're learning basic writing structure, visual organization, and how to communicate to an audience, parents, other classes, and the school community. They can learn simple graphics, and they can also learn storytelling through images. The goal at this level is not perfection, it's empowerment. It's, I made something, people saw it. I'm a creator. For middle school, you're adding a little bit more of complexity and purpose. So, with the school newsletters and blogs, students will be writing longer form content, conducting interviews, fact checks, and all of that stuff. There will be advanced graphic design, digital portfolios, and since middle schoolers can handle real responsibility, we'd probably let them run the school Instagram with oversight, or let them design the yearbook pages, let them create the morning announcement graphics. Give them ownership and watch what happens. And for high school students, we are preparing them for professional work. They're strategic thinking. They're not just making pretty graphics. They're thinking about goals, audience, calls to action, and engagement metrics. We're talking about portfolio development. They're building professional portfolios that they can show the college and employers, demonstrating the real life skills that they've learned. High school students can produce professional level work with the right instruction. I've seen student created content that rivals what you see from marketing agencies. The difference isn't talent, it's whether we're teaching them or not. So some of the things that gets taught in these programs is writing skills, visual literacy, technical fluency, audience awareness. For example, who are you creating for? What do they need? Iteration and feedback, how to revise, digital citizenship in action. Not just be nice online, but create responsibly, give credit, and respect privacy. And here's what's beautiful. A lot of this supports traditional academics. There's better writing in English class, better presentation skills in science, better communication in group projects, better research and source evaluation across subjects. You're not taking away from core instruction, you're enhancing it. Now, I know what some educators might be thinking. We don't have time for this. I get it. The schedule is packed. There are standards to meet, tests to prep for. But here's the thing, content creation can be integrated across all subjects. English class writes blog posts instead of only traditional essays. Social studies creates infographics about its historical events. Science designs posters explaining concepts. Math creates data visualizations. You're not adding a separate class, even though you could, you're changing how students demonstrate learning. Well, some of you might say that not all teachers are tech savvy enough to teach this. You don't have to be a design expert to guide student creation. The tools are intuitive, students pick them up quickly, and your role is a facilitator, not a technical expert. And if you bring in someone like me to do workshops, we teach both students and staff. We build capacity together. Now, what about the students who don't have devices at home? And that's exactly why this needs to happen in school. If we only teach content creation to students with access at home, we're widening the digital divide. Schools have devices, labs, Chromebooks. Use them for creation, not just consumption and testing. Now, this final question is a big one. You might want to ask, aren't we just training kids to be influencers? No, we're training them to be communicators, to be professionals who can share ideas clearly, to be citizens who can create, not just consume, to be humans who have something to say and the skills to say it well. Some of them might become influencers, most won't, but all of them will need to create content in some form for the rest of their lives. Imagine a school where every grade level has students actively creating content. Third graders designing welcome posters for new students. Fifth graders writing and publishing a monthly class newsletter that parents actually want to read. Middle schoolers running the school blog, interviewing staff, covering events. High schoolers creating a digital yearbook, managing social media, and building portfolios. Students aren't just learning about the world, they are documenting it, shaping it, and contributing to it. And here's what happens in those schools. Students are more engaged because they are creating for real audiences, not just for grades. Teachers see better communication, better writing, and better critical thinking. Parents see their kids excited about projects and proud of their work. The community feels more connected because students are telling its story. And students graduate with actual skills they can name on resume and demonstrate in portfolios. This isn't theoretical. I've seen it. So when schools commit to teaching content creation not as an add-on but as a core skill development, everything shifts. Students go from passive to active, from consumers to creators, from I can't to I made this. That's the vision, and it's completely achievable. You don't need a huge budget. You don't need fancy equipment. Here's what you need: a commitment to teaching creation alongside consumption, tools, many of which are free or low cost, someone to guide the instruction, permission for students to actually create and publish. That's it. The rest, students will surprise you with what they're capable of. If you are an educator or an administrator listening to this and thinking, yes, we need this, here's how it can happen. You can integrate content creation into existing classes with teacher training and support. You can bring in programs specifically designed to teach these skills, like my digital creator program, where I work with students grades 3 to 12 to teach newsletter creation, graphic design, blog writing, and digital storytelling. You can start small, one class, one grade level, one pilot program, and then scale as you see the impact. And here's what you're investing in: academic skills, better writing, visual literacy, technical fluency, social emotional growth, confidence, voice, and self expression, career readiness, real skills for actual jobs, and behavioral shifts, less passive consumption and more active creation. This isn't about just teaching kids to use Canva. It's about teaching them that they have something worth creating, something worth sharing, something that matters. And in a world where students often feel powerless, where they're constantly consuming what others have made, that shift from consumer to creator changes everything. It changes how they see themselves, it changes how they engage with the world, and it changes what they believe they're capable of. And that's education that matters. Thanks for listening to Smart with Screens. If you're an educator or an administrator interested in bringing content creation programs to your school, I'd love to talk. My digital creator program teaches students grades 3 to 12 how to create class newsletters, design graphics, write blog posts, and develop real digital content skills. These are available for in person workshops in NYC and virtually nationwide. Let's move students from consumers to creators. They're ready. The question is, are we? I'm Schnelle Acevedo. Until next time, let's stay smart with screens and teach the next generation to create, not just consume.